It's good to see your beautiful face today. So, in case you don't know me, I'll just give a quick introduction. My name is Ryan. I've been living in Africa for the past 5 years, which is where I'm currently at right now. Yesterday, I was talking to a friend, and she was from the eastern part of Uganda, and she told me that her grandfather had 13 wives. She said he was a big man in the village and he was a Muslim. She told me that men in the village would often approach him and say, "I have a daughter I would like you to marry." Now, this concept is so foreign to us Westerners, so far to the extent that polygamy is illegal in the United States, where I'm from, and I can't quite figure out why. Are our laws based on Christian ethics? Anyways, apparently it's legal here. One thing I do like about living here in East Africa is there is more diversity with religion compared to my home country, the United States. I remember living in the United States. I almost never saw Muslims. I wasn't exposed to Islam. But here, I see it all the time, and I've been more exposed to it, and I've come to learn more about their customs and culture. So this big man in this town in eastern Uganda, he was Muslim, and men would come to him offering their daughters for marriage. So my friend who was telling me this story about her grandfather, she said that he had a piece of land, a big piece of land, and he built a home for each wife. And I said, did he have a home for himself? And she said no. Each night he would go to a different wife's house and sleep there. And the wife that he was staying with, it was her responsibility to cook the food. Not just cook the food for herself and her husband, but for all the other wives and their children. You can imagine that would be a lot of cooking to feed, I don't know how many people, if you're including the kids, it could have been 30 plus people. She said that I asked, would the other wives help? And she said, yeah, they might do some little trivial things, but basically, if he's staying with this wife on this night, she is the head chef and she's responsible for the meal. I don't know about you men out there, but if I was in that kind of situation, I would need my own house so that I could get away from all 13 wives once in a while. I know it sounds like a little piece of heaven for most Western men, but I don't think it's all that it seems cracked up to be. So this lady, my friend, she was telling me about her grandfather. She said even her father was polygamous. However, he only had 2 wives and some girlfriends on the side. She said that she doesn't like polygamy because of the competition between the wives. And what I've heard, not just talking to this friend, but many other friends who have come from polygamous families where the father has more than one wife, there's often some competition. There's often a dominant wife. And so fighting happens because of that. And I would say from what I've heard from most of the women that I've talked to who come from polygamous families, they were not happy. Now, you got to wonder if they say that because what I think has happened is Western media has come into every crack and crevice of the world, and it sells this romantic notion of a monogamous relationship. Just how some Western men might be very interested and attracted to this polygamous lifestyle, it's something completely new to us. I think it also works the other way around, where women who come from a polygamous society are attracted to the Western way of romance and monogamy. But we all know, as Westerners, that it's not always sunshine and roses. And by the way, guys, I do have an interview with that Muslim girl that's on my Patreon. She's a very beautiful girl, and you can hear some of her thoughts about what she expects from a polygamous marriage. It's a very interesting interview. That video is on my Patreon. If you found value in today's video and you'd like to leave a super thanks, go right ahead. I'd appreciate that. Or you can join me on Patreon, where I have over 1,500 videos in my archive covering my 20 years in Japan and my 5+ years here in Africa.